Okay, so before you start your geometric and pattern project, I want you to have a rough sketch of your idea. So you can see that my sketch here is very messy and has quick lines, but you sort of get a sense of the composition that I'm planning for my project. So I'm going to put that aside and keep it there for my reference for when I'm doing my final piece. And put my clean paper down. So the tools I'm going to be using for this project are a ruler and a compass and a pencil. And actually, we'll also be using scissors after. Scissors. So we will start with a ruler, and what I'm going to have you guys do is measure out the center horizontally and vertically. So I'm gonna look at how long my piece of paper is. So this is an 11-inch piece of paper, so I'm gonna mark 5.5. And the way I make sure that I get it right in the center all the way along the vertical is measuring it out in at least 3 places. So I'm gonna mark it here, 5.5, and mark it right here, 5.5. Then I flip my ruler around and I butt it up against those lines, just like that, and draw my, and then draw my line across. And then I get a relatively straight line. It's not gonna, might not be 100% perfect, but it's gonna be close enough. So I follow the same thing going back the other direction. So I just skipped ahead so we can move forward a little quicker, but it's the same approach, just measuring from here to here, finding the center, and then doing it in 1, 2, 3 spots. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is, if we look back to my original sketch, I have 2 circles. So I'm gonna make those perfect circles with what we call a compass. So, and these circles are going to be overlapping each other ever so slightly. So I'm going to measure out, I'm just going to kind of randomly pick a number here. I'm going to do 2 inches from each side. 2 inches is going to be where the center of my circle is on either side. And then my compass, basically, for them to overlap, this is half the width of the circle. So that, what we call that in math, is a radius. So that radius has to be bigger than 2 inches for the 2 to overlap. So instead of getting really fancy and measuring it out, I'm just going to make it a little bit wider. So I can tell just by looking that that's going to overlap that line in the middle. So then I hold it, this part in one hand, and I keep this point right here on that 2-inch mark. I hold my paper, and you just slowly bring the compass around, making a perfect circle. So basically the distance from this point to the edge of the circle all the way around is going to be the same. So if I've measured everything out correctly, if I put my point on this mark and go the opposite way, it should give me the exact same circle on the other side. Holding it with the second hand. So you can see that I've added a few more circles in different places, and those are going to be flowers after. I've added some lines on the edges that I measured out from the corner, from the edge to here. So now I want to show you one more technique that you can use in this project, and that's making a stencil. So I quickly drew out my bird stencil. If you remember on my original, I've got birds here and here that are mirroring each other, both this direction and also that direction. So how we do that effect is through making a stencil. So I drew out a quick rough sketch of a bird, and this is where I'm going to use my scissors. So to cut out the bird, I'm going to just cut around it. I'm also using red paper so that I can see it more easily against the white background. So then I'm going to take my bird and figure out its placement. I'm going to kind of make it up. So I'm going to use some of the marks that I have to line it up. So I'm going to line up this part of the stencil with the line there, that sort of point, and here. And then I hold it with one finger and trace around. There I have my shape. Now I take the bird and I flip it this way. Once I have both those done, then I actually flip my paper around and I do repeat the same process on the other side.